Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple Hanamatsuri Buddha Day service. My name is Miles Yamamoto, and I will be your MC for today. I'd like to welcome back Bishop Umitani and Mrs. Umitani, and thank Bishop for officiating today's service and providing the Dharma Talk. We will begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho. This signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat.
No.
We will now have the offering of flowers and light. If you are able, please rise for the meditation followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and in English. This can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7. Please be seated. Bishop Umitani will now lead us in Sanbujo. This can be found on page 9 of the red Jodo Shinshu Service book, followed by his aspiration.
On this day, we gather together to observe the Buddha Day service here at the Windward Buddhist Temple. With hearts of deep reverence and gratitude, we reflect upon the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha, who was born on April 8, more than 2,500 years ago. Through his awakening to the truth of the Dharma, the path toward peace, joy, and gratitude was revealed, guiding countless beings then and now. Today, the Buddha's teaching has spread throughout the world, continuing to illuminate our lives. Yet we also live in a time marked by conflict, division, and uncertainty. For this very reason, we are reminded of the importance of listening deeply to the Dharma so that we may discover true peace within ourselves. Guided by the light of the Buddha's wisdom and compassion, may we cherish this unrepeatable life and strive to live with awareness, gratitude, and care for one another. May our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the realization of a society where all lives are equally respected, affirmed, and embraced. May the all-inclusive light and all-embracing compassion of the Buddha gently guide us on this path. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Today's sutra is Junirai, which can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book, beginning on page 60. During the sutra, please come up and pour sweet tea on the baby Buddha statue. It is said that when baby Buddha was born, sweet tea rained from the sky. You may also offer incense if you have not already done so. We will start with the podium side first. So come up to the front, pour the tea, and then go off to my left to go back to your seat. And then the other side of the seats will follow.
Go
将来みなそう大保険知証権前後少女命大座お膝上両線の子が将来みなそう実法将来勝負し権限人主安な戦後尊厳上苦行子が将来みなそう小無常無我と薬尿水が燃料炉一種説法無明寺子が将来みなそう非尊無説無悪名薬無尿に悪道不主に死心教非相子が将来みなそう非相無量法勉強無少種悪知識往生大志もない子が将来みなそうがせに尊苦の苦事主で無へ了解水小逆前後少女者衛生修上消費公
If you are able, please rise for the recitation, the Creed, Irogemon, which can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 4. Namo Amida Butsu. Entrust yourself to me. I will liberate you just as you are. This is the calling voice of Amida. My blind passions are embraced in the Buddha's awakening. So the Buddha calls to me. I will liberate you just as you are. Gratefully responding to the Buddha's call, I find that I am already on the path that leads to the Pure Land, and the Nembutsu flows freely through my thankful heart. It is due to the guidance of Shinran Shonin and successive spiritual leaders who have transmitted this teaching to us today. Living with the Dharma as my guide softens my rigid heart and mind. Gratitude for the gift of life I have received frees me from becoming lost in greed and anger, and allows me to share a warm smile and speak gentle words. Sharing in the joy and sadness of others, I shall strive to live each day to the fullest.
Snub.
Please be seated. Our speaker today is Bishop Toshiyuki Umitani. Bishop.
Shall we place our hands together in Gassho? The spirit of the Buddha is that of great loving kindness and compassion. The great loving kindness is the spirit to save all people by any and all means. The great compassion is the spirit that prompts it to be ill with the illness of people, to suffer with their suffering. Your suffering is my suffering, and your happiness is my happiness, said Buddha. And just as a mother always loves her child, he does not forget that spirit, even for a single moment. For it is the nature of Buddhahood to be compassionate. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Okay, well, welcome to the Buddha Day service here at the Windward Buddhist Temple, and it's so nice to see so many of you today. So last Sunday, the Hawaii Buddhist Council held the Buddha Day service at the Hawaii Vet's Wing. The Hawaii Buddhist Council is comprised of the 7 Japanese Buddhist denominations, including the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii. And as the Hawaii Buddhist Council, we have 2 major events. One is the Buddha Day in April, and one is the Bodhi Day in December. So last Sunday was the Buddha Day at Hawaii Vet's Wing. And I felt that the service went really well, with a lot of participants. It was a beautiful service. The Hongwanji choir, shared the beautiful voice, and then a lot of people, young children, young adults, seniors, everybody enjoyed the moment together, celebrating the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha. Offered the tea, offered the incense, and after the service, we enjoyed the refreshments in the social hall, the games. And then our keynote speaker was Dr. George Tanabe, retired professor at UH, the professor of religion. And he gave, well, as always, he gave insightful, inspiring Dharma message. Well, if you missed that opportunity, there's a recording of that message. So please go to the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii's YouTube channel, and you can see that the service. Listen to the Dr. Tanabe's message. So Dr. Tanabe's talk was based on his recent book that explores stories about the formation of Shinto and Buddhism in Japan. He emphasized the importance of story, and many of the stories cannot be scientifically proven, but that does not mean they are lies or meaningless. In fact, stories tell us there's a meaning in it. There's a there's a meaning in the story. And Dr. Tanabe spoke about the difference between belief and knowledge. Knowledge is something we can verify through science or evidence. Belief, on the other hand, cannot always be confirmed in that way. Yet, this does not make belief any less significant. In fact, stories rooted in belief often carry truths that speak directly to our hearts and guide how we can live. In Buddhism, our teaching is often expressed through stories or through expedient means, a compassionate method that is used to guide people toward awakening. The stories we hear in Buddhism may not always be literally the true, but they skillfully lead us to become aware of what is most important in our life. So today, I'd like to begin with the story of when the Buddha was born. Yeah. As you know, the baby standing right here is the baby Buddha. Yeah? When the Shakyamuni is the statue of the baby, the Buddha when he was born. And there's a story that the baby Buddha, as soon as he was born, he took 7 steps. He pointed his finger to the sky, right finger to the left finger to the earth, and like this statue symbolizes. And he said, all the heavens above and the earth below, I alone am the world-honored one. People in this world are suffering, and I shall bring peace and comfort for them. Well, again, the factual accuracy of this event is not the main point. It is natural to think that such story was created later on, after the Buddha passed away, by his followers to honor the Buddha's life, teachings, and spirit. Yeah. So, what is the spirit of the Buddha? Yeah. So, again, I'd like to read today's aspiration. The spirit of the Buddha is that of great loving kindness and compassion. The great loving kindness is a spirit to save all people by any and all means. The great compassion is a spirit that prompts it to be ill with the illness of people, to suffer with their suffering. Your suffering is my suffering, and your happiness is my happiness, said Buddha. And just as a mother always loves her child, he does not forget that spirit even for a single moment, for it is the nature of Buddhahood to be compassionate. So the Buddha's spirit is to save all people, to save all people by any and all means. How can he save all people? Well, by extending compassion, by becoming ill with the illness of people, meaning by truly empathizing with the suffering of others. Yeah. So the Buddha's spirit is to be with others, to empathize with their joy and suffering. The Buddha does not have the power to make our lives easy by magically removing all the sufferings. The Buddha knew that each of us have to carry a heavy load on our shoulders. Each of us has to live our own lives in whatever conditions we have been given. But the Buddha also knew the power of empathy, the power to stand next to the person who is suffering. Walking through a dark mountain alone is difficult and lonely. Walking with others is still difficult, but you are not alone anymore. It is still you who needs to walk through this dark mountain, but by having someone, by having their compassionate presence next to you, you gain the strength and courage to move forward. So what is the goal of becoming a Buddhist? I think it is to be like the Buddha, to become someone, to try to become someone who thinks of others, who can stand beside those who are suffering, and who can truly feel their suffering as if it were our own. At his Easter Sunday address on April 5, Pope Leo XIV said, I quote, we are growing accustomed to violence, resigning ourselves to it, and becoming indifferent to the death of thousands of people, indifferent to the repercussions of hatred and division that conflicts sow, indifferent to the economic and social consequences they produce, which we all feel. There is an ever-increasing globalization of indifference, and we cannot continue to be indifferent. Yeah. And I feel that the Pope is pointing to a very real danger in our world today, the danger of becoming indifferent to the lives and suffering of others. Like the Buddha, I think the Pope is encouraging us to be the people who can truly empathize with others. So in many ways, I feel that this is also the heart of Buddhism. Yeah? The goal of Buddhism is not simply to gain knowledge or understanding of what's happening in the universe, but to become a person who is mindful, who is sensitive, and who is caring toward others. To become someone who can truly feel what others are experiencing, like a mother who always loves her child. Yet, this is not easy. Yeah? We naturally tend toward indifference, thinking, as long as I am happy, I'm fine. You know? In a world filled with division and conflict, it can be overwhelming, and we may begin to close our hearts without even realizing it. I think that's why the spirit of the Buddha becomes all the more important. The Buddha's teaching calls us to remain open, to listen, to feel, and stand alongside others. It reminds us not to turn away, but to respond with empathy and compassion, respond to the world, respond to the people with empathy and compassion, even in a world that often moves in the opposite direction. And as an example of empathy, I'd like to share one story that deeply touched my heart recently. Well, many of you know that this news that the NASA, the Artemis II, the project to fly by the moon, and they came back. Yeah. This Friday, they safely came back, and I was watching the news throughout, and I was so happy when they safely landed to the ocean. And then during their flight, there was one moment that really touched my heart, and I'd like to watch that.
Thank you, Houston. We have a couple more things we'd like to take this moment for. Our science team helped us out with a couple of relatively fresh craters on the moon that have not been previously named, and our crew would like to propose a couple of potential names for those items or those areas. And we spent a bit of time this morning looking out the window, and we're both with our naked eye and through the long lens. And so we feel this is a good time to send this down, and a special shout out to Kelsey for helping us with this. The first one we'd like to suggest is a named crater in honor of our great spacecraft integrity. And so if you were to look at Oriental on the far side and then draw a line straight up to Om on the far side, relatively in the middle is an unnamed crater, and we would like to suggest it be called Integrity in the future. Second. And the second one, and especially meaningful for this crew, is a number of years ago we started this journey in our close-knit astronaut family, and we lost a loved one. And there's a feature in a really neat place on the moon, and it is on the near side, far side boundary. In fact, it's just on the near side of that boundary, and so at certain times of the moon's transit around Earth, we will be able to see this from Earth. And so we lost a loved one. Her name was Carol, the spouse of Reed, the mother of Katie and Ellie. And if you want to find this one, you look at Glushko, and it's just to the northwest of that, at the same latitude as Om, and it's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol, and you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
Integrity and Carol Crater, loud and clear. Thank you.
So that was the moment that really touched my heart, you know. So the commander, the captain, Reed Wiseman, lost his wife, Mrs. Carol Wiseman, and then they had the opportunity to suggest. Sounds like they didn't have the authority to name the crater, but they can still suggest the names of the crater, and one is the Integrity, and one is the Carol, the Mrs. Wiseman's the name, and so I felt that it's such a beautiful thing that they brought Mrs. Carol together with them over the moon, and they carried her memory all the way to the moon. And but even more than that, I was deeply touched by how the other astronauts, how the others felt Commander Wiseman's pain and loneliness as their own. They were not just supporting him, they were sharing his sorrow. They were standing right next to him, not just physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. And I felt that they were after they suggested the names, they hugged each other, right? And then they were crying each other, and there was a moment, the silence, but and during that moment of silence, they were sharing this sadness together, as well as joy together, So, these astronauts, they went through all kinds of trainings together, right? They over the many years, and then through that time, I think they have even though it was challenging, I think they established this sense of togetherness, sense of family. And then they became a wonderful team. Yeah, the four of them became such a wonderful team that they could truly, laugh together, cry together, and we could, through this moment, I could see the love, camaraderie, and respect or teamwork between the crew. And I kind of felt that what they showed us, what they showed us is a beautiful example of empathy, the ability to be mindful of another person's feelings, to be sensitive to their suffering, and to stand beside them with a sincere heart. In a time like today, when the world often feels divided and indifferent, this example reminds us of something very important. It reminds us of the beauty and the power of empathy, the very spirit that the Buddha shared with us. Yeah. We can also nurture this beauty of empathy here at the Windward Buddhist Temple as we listen to the Dharma together, enjoy fellowship together, participate in various temples and community activities together. I think we can cultivate the spirit of the Buddha, the spirit to think of others' feelings as our own and stand next to them. I think this is a wonderful place where we can all cultivate great loving kindness and compassion. When the baby Buddha walked 7 steps, he said, "I alone am the world-honored one." And I believe it did not mean that only he was the person worthy of recognition and reverence, but all lives, right? All lives, you, me, and all the people and all the things in this universe are equally embraced, affirmed, and appreciated just the way we are. So on this Buddha Day, let us express our appreciation for the Shakyamuni Buddha, who taught us the importance and beauty of empathy and loving kindness. And like the Buddha, let us always to be mindful and sensitive to the people around us. So please join me in Kansho. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Oh, by the way, now I have my own name tag. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Umitani, for your message and for reminding us that the spirit of Buddhism is empathy and compassion. I also saw that moment, and I think it hit me well because that week was just bad news all week, and that was a nice moment of humanity in the midst of what was a bad news cycle. So thank you. If you are able, please rise for the Gatha Floral Festival, which can be found in the Purple Praises of the Buddha book on page 60. remain standing for the Nembutsu on page 145. Please be seated. Thank you for attending today's service. Coming up next, we have important announcements by Cynthia.
Good morning, everyone. Dennis couldn't be with us, so here I am. Okay. Thank you, Bishop Umitani, for being the officiant and speaker for our service this morning. Miles, MC, Neil, greeter, Joy, piano, and Ryan, the videographer. So we have two guests this morning. And if you could please stand when I call your name. We have Erwin Colbert White, and Greg Padden. Welcome. Thank you. Okay. Our next Sunday service will be on April 19th, when we will have our Ishini and Kakushini Day service, commemorating the wife and daughter of our Jodo Shinshu founder, Shinran Shonin. Reverend Shingo will be here to officiate the service, and Barbara Brennan will be returning to provide a Dharma message. Our spring food drive to support the Hawaii Food Bank continues and will end next Sunday. We again ask for your generosity to provide non-perishable food for the needy. We have a box set up to collect the donated items right next door. If you would like a monetary donation, please provide checks made payable to the Hawaii Food Bank. So, Prudence, do you have anything?
Good morning. A reminder, we have a box back there for any gently used children and adult books that we're going to take to the Waimanalo Emergency Center. We did that last year, so there's a box back there. And I won't take it till next week, so if you want to bring some in next week, that's fine. The other thing is, you know, I think I sent out a survey or asked people to tell me if there's anything that you're repurposing. Because, you know, we want to save the earth. We don't want to throw plastic and all kinds of junk that goes into the ground. And so if we can learn to repurpose things, that'll be fun. And I was hoping that I'd get a massive input that I said we can create a Windward Buddhist Temple Sangha's how to repurpose booklet that we can share. But unfortunately, I got only one. So you don't have to write it, but I'm hoping that you would all be repurposing. So next week, we will have a table that you can bring any item that you're repurposing. And I have a few that was donated. And we'll have a table so you can get ideas of what you can repurpose and not just throw it out. So it's not too late. So if you have the survey, you can fill it out. And we can still make a booklet of 2, maybe. 2 pages. No. Let's see. I think that's about it. So anyway, there's a QR code there that you can scan to complete the survey. So that'll be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Prudence. I just have several more announcements. Just a reminder that we have a collection area behind the check-in desk to receive any gently used items for our rummage sale. Okay, so today is bingo day, as you know, and we're also going to have lucky numbers. So it's a dual thing. So as soon as you finish eating, we'll start. And the last thing of all, birthdays in April. How many of you have birthdays in April? Please stand and come up front. Congratulations, you made it another year. Okay, thank you. Now, before you leave the room, Diane is standing by the exit there, and she'll give you a lucky number ticket. So be sure to get a lucky number ticket for the raffle. And I believe that concludes the service, unless anybody else has announcements. Okay, Ryan has it up on the screen. We are truly grateful for this.